Hey, hey, hey. Welcome, 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 beautiful souls. Welcome to tonight's Becoming Supernatural Live. I'm just so happy you're here. Whenever you're here, whenever you're watching this, I'm so happy you're here because this has been a journey. This is my third time reading Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And this time around, I could have read it in the quiet of my own bedroom before bed, but I really wanted to open up to others who might be wanting to embark on this journey, others who might have been curious about the book, wondering what's behind the covers, the videos that they see online, or if you're doing this for the umpteenth time, like I am. I wanted to do it with community. And I'm finding so many of you in my comment section, on my TikTok page, on my shorts on YouTube. I love it here, guys. And I love what we're becoming together, which is supernatural and so much more. So, if you're new here, I am Brittany Starks. I am your manifesting mentor. I'm not a coach, I'm not a guru, I'm a demonstrator. And I share my journey of spiritual transformation and quantum embodiment as I walk through the work myself, especially this deep and powerful work as laid out by Dr. Joe. I don't know if his name is Joseph. I was about to say Joseph. Dr. Joe Dispenza. Shout out to him because in my book, he should win a Nobel Peace Prize for this work that he's introduced to us. So we've been reading this book together, chapter by chapter, and tonight we're completing chapter 5, which is Reconditioning the Body to a New Mind. And in parts 4 and 5, we'll talk about why elevated emotions are the secret key to manifestation and how meditation becomes the bridge between your past and your future. And it's actually why Dr. Joe uses this method, this technique in all of his teachings, because it's the most effective, efficient way. And let's not even graze over the other benefits aside from manifestation, which is huge, right? But it's one of the most potent ways to really improve your quality of health. Talk about stress going down. You're also growing your telomeres, which is your chromosomes that indicate quality of health and how long your lifespan is. So people who meditate regularly, they are literally drinking from the fountain of youth. Raise your hand because if I'm that, you're that. Yeah, that's what we're doing. So without further ado, y'all know I don't like to make people wait for the stragglers that come. I love y'all, but we gonna keep this train moving. I have my key talking points for part 4, which is embracing elevated emotions. And some of the things that I jotted down from this part of chapter 5 is Dr. Joe is doubling down on his emphasis of elevated emotions. What are elevated emotions? Gratitude, love, wholeness, joy. He's doubling down on his teachings of why it's so important to feel into your future. And I say your future, and he says your future because that's exactly what you think, whatever it is you desire, will bring you. You think it will bring you elevated emotions. You think it will bring you gratitude. You think it will make you feel more whole. So often do I hear people say, I'll be happy when XYZ happens. I'll be so glad when da 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 da. Finish the sentence, fill in the blank, and we put our happiness on hold, which in essence is telling us that we have to linger in misery or whatever other feeling is the opposite of happy, right? Whatever you've been conditioning yourself to feel, you're putting your happiness on hold to say that I can't feel this emotion until. And Dr. Joe is saying that elevated emotions are the gateway to changing your energetic signature. As we've learned in other chapters, your electromagnetic field, AKA your aura, is a thing. It's your electromagnetic signature. It's the signal that your body sends out. It's very unique to you. It's like a fingerprint, right? When you walk in a room, you bring a certain energy and that only you could bring. And a lot of that signature energy has a lot of conditioned patterns that have to do with that energy, some of which you may not want to hold on to anymore, some of which are getting in the way of your dreams, your goals, your health, your relationships. And you want to get a handle on it. And that's probably why you're here. I know that's what brought me to this work. Dr. Joe teaches that gratitude, love, wholeness, and joy signal to the body that the future is what? It's already here now, because embodiment means you're feeling the feelings of the future now. And what we learned about the subconscious mind is that it does not know the difference between something that is real and something that is imagined. So, as you're conjuring up these elevated emotions, these feelings of joy, love, wholeness, and all the umpteenth gamut of emotions that you can feel on the high end, your brain and body are experiencing these emotions as if whatever you're imagining is actually happening. And that leaves an impression on the subconscious mind. And so your energy field becomes more coherent when you feel the elevated state before the physical evidence. In other words, your electromagnetic signal is no longer incoherent and chaotic, which is exactly what it is when we're in the emotions of stress, when we're in depression or anxiety. Our brains are sending incoherent signals all throughout our bodies. And this is what, over time, if you exist this way, chronic illness, chronic pain are born from this internal environment that you are conditioning yourself to be in unconsciously, right? Because we don't do it on purpose. We never knew what we were doing. And so your energy field becomes coherent when you feel the elevated state before the evidence. And this is where embodiment replaces expectation. It's not when this shows up, I'll be happy. It's because I've become happy, XYZ showed up. So, in other words, we're learning how to cultivate and create the feeling from within so that we can then become a magnet to a match, right? Our electromagnetic signal becomes the vibrational match to what it is we desire because we're already feeling the emotion. You don't have to wait for the millions of dollars to hit your bank account to feel abundant. You feel abundant, and whenever the millions of dollars hit, great. And even when it doesn't, great, because it does not affect my quality of existence. And this is what we are doing. We're taking our power back, and we're stopping ourselves from allowing ourselves to make the external world, the people, the things, the circumstances, the job, the relationship, we're stopping ourselves from making those things more powerful than ourselves, than our higher self, our consciousness. They're not more powerful unless you give your power away. And we're not doing that. So I've been doing the reconditioning the body to a new mind meditation this week. And we're actually going to get more into that meditation in part 5, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But I've been doing that meditation intentionally, obviously, because we're reading the chapter this week. But I've noticed such a real difference in how my body responds when I do that meditation. I'm no longer waiting for a feeling to come from my circumstances, right? Exactly what I just explained. I'm not waiting for the text message or the phone call. I'm not waiting for that email to hit my inbox to tell me that I won tickets to Beyonce's Cowboy Carter tour. I'm feeling like I'm already that now, right? I'm not waiting for it. I'm generating the feeling within already. I'm feeling grateful for just, you know, whatever I can imagine. I feel gratitude. I feel, abundant. I feel blessed. I feel lucky. And that is wild because what ended up happening the other day, I was chatting with a friend at my local coffee shop. I go to Starbucks a lot, y'all know that. And a series of songs started playing, and each one of the songs had a message that I had been affirming in my meditations. And I thought that that was so wild. But at the same time, I'm not surprised because when you're in alignment, when you're in coherence, you are tuning yourself to a very particular frequency and you start getting those synchronicities. They seem like coincidences, but they're not coincidence. They're a match to what you're being, who you're being vibrationally. So when those songs were playing, like it was like 3 songs back to back. I kid you not, and every single song had a key message in it of some of the things that I was like experiencing in my meditations. And it was almost like my environment was mirroring my emotional state that I had practiced earlier in that morning when I did the meditation. So that's when I knew that the field is responding to me because I'm broadcasting something new. And that's what you will also notice as you start practicing these meditations and doing this work. And especially when you start practicing reconditioning the body to a new mind, which is also, I would say, is probably my top, it's probably number three in my top three. Blessings of the Energy Center is first, changing boxes is next, and then reconditioning the body to a new mind is that girl or boy. At any rate, we got some questions from the audience, and someone asked in my comments, what if I can't genuinely feel elevated emotions yet? Ooh, that's a good one. Very normal. When certain emotions are foreign to you, or I won't even say foreign, when you're used to practicing other emotions more than, let's say, the emotion you think you're going to feel when, I don't know, your specific person contacts you or asks you out on a date. When you're used to practicing, let's say, emotions of rejection, for example, you will be like, well, how am I supposed to feel the emotions of feeling chosen when I haven't been chosen? Well, if you just start with your intention, you don't have to force it, just invite it. Just say, okay, well, what would it feel like if or when my specific person asked me out on a date? And you can imagine a scene, or you can, what I like to do is enter conversations. You can go there and hear someone that you know in your life, in real life, telling you, oh wow, like I loved, that you guys did that on your date, like telling you something in your imagination that confirms that you've gone on a date with this person, right? And your subconscious mind won't know that you're imagining this, because your body will start to feel satisfaction from that. Also, other elevated emotions. And so the more you sit with the gratitude or the joy or whatever feelings you think you might feel, even for the small things, maybe that person opened, if you're a female or a male, I don't know, they opened the door for you and you were grateful that they were being a gentleman, or they did something kind, or they called you a little pet name that you liked. The more you sit with those emotions that you'll feel from that, the more your body learns that feeling. So remember, the way we learn is through repetition. You repeat things over and over again, and then the body over time just gets it to the point where it starts to do it on autopilot. So the emotion will grow with repetition. So even if you've never felt the emotion, I think in one of Joe's meditations, even reconditioning the body to a new mind, he tells you something like, what does courage feel like? And at first I was like, what? Like, courage is a word I know, and I know I've been courageous before, but I had to really think, like, what does courage feel like? And I couldn't figure it out. I was like, I don't know. I don't know. But what I did was I just thought back to a time where I did something that I thought was scary. And I was like, well, how did I feel after? And I was like, that wasn't so bad. So for me, when I hear that word now, because I've been doing the meditation so much, I automatically feel, that wasn't so bad. Like, I would call it maybe relief coupled with happiness. So, yeah, like the more I practice that, that wasn't so bad, over time, that emotion starts to expand and I start to get more and more into what courage could feel like for me. And for everybody, it's going to be different. Like, you have your own way of interpreting life. So there is no wrong answer, right? You can't get it wrong. Hope that helps. But yeah, just start with your intention and you should be good. Second question was, why is elevated emotion more important than just visualizing? Ooh, that's a good one. So Dr. Joe teaches that thoughts are what send the signal out, right? So thoughts have their own frequency, right? But then he also says that emotion is like the magnet that draws things that are a match in. So the field doesn't respond to your words, it responds to the feeling that the words give you, right? Like, so you could think, I am abundant, I am abundant, I am abundant all day long. But what you really want to focus on is, what does abundance feel like for you? Because if the thought is the signal, that's cool. But the emotion is what draws abundance back to you. So you want to focus on that. So an elevated emotion is how we tune our vibration to the outcome that we desire, right? Like, again, you can affirm whatever it is. You can affirm, I am successful. But success has a very different meaning for everybody. So you got to figure out, what does that mean for you? What does success feel like in your body? Because you know what the opposite feels like. I think that's what brings us into the work that we find ourselves in is we know the opposite of what we want to feel like feels like. If I want to feel abundant, I know what lack feels like. That's why I want to feel abundant, right? So you want to add the elevated emotion of what abundance may feel like. You want to tune your frequency to what that may feel like. For me, it feels like relief because the opposite is when I can't pay my bills. The opposite is when I feel like I'm separate from something that I actually want or desire. So I feel lackful. The opposite of abundance is lack, it's separation. It's I'm without the thing that I think I need. And so I'm uneasy, I'm anxious, I'm all of these emotions mixed together because usually emotions are compounding. They're not just one feeling, right? Again, I listed a bunch of things that I feel when I feel lackful. Okay, well, let's go to the other side. What does abundance feel like? It feels like relief. I'm so glad I that's handled. I don't have to worry about that. That's one less thing I got to be concerned about. And then in conjunction with relief, I'm probably going to feel joy, like peace, like I'm at peace now. I'm probably going to feel more calm in my body. So, yeah, you really want to focus on not just thinking about something or seeing it in your mind's eye. You want to connect to the emotion in your body that you're going to feel. So when I actually visualize, I don't visualize like some people visualize in third person where they're like a fly on the wall looking at themselves. I don't do that. And the reason I don't do that is because my understanding of feeling an elevated emotion for having my manifestation happen is that I want to look through my eyes as I'm actually living out the scene. So if I'm test driving my dream car, I'm not in the passenger seat unless somebody's driving my dream car and I'm sitting passenger seat, which I'm cool with, but I'm in my body. I'm looking at the person driving. I'm looking down at my hands. I'm feeling the texture of the leather seats or whatever material. I'm smelling the car scent, the leathery scent. I'm feeling the air conditioned. Like I'm really in it because that will also put me in the scene, number one. Number two, I could connect better with a feeling that something would give me than I could if I were looking at a scene playing out as if I'm a fly on the wall. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm hoping that that helps you in your visualization because it is like feeling the emotion is the actual missing key. I think I did a video today um, where I mentioned how Dr. Joe talks about elevated emotions being important, but Neville talked about feeling is the secret. He wrote a whole book about it. Reverend Ike is another one of my favorites. He talked about feeling gets the blessing. He said it so many times in so many of his sermons. And then if you go back even to the Bible, Jesus said, when ye pray, believe ye have received and ye shall receive. Now, what is it to believe something? It's to think that it actually what? That it actually happened. And along with that comes some feelings. You're going to feel a certain way when you believe something that you desired happened, that you prayed for is actually happening. And so living in the end is really just that. Like it's all about the feeling. And a lot of people in the manifestation community would beg to differ, but I don't know. My experience tells me that you may not feel it at the beginning, but the repetition is what gets you there. So while some people say, well, I manifested certain things and I didn't feel it, well, you probably don't remember or recall feeling it, but you probably also brought yourself to a level of neutrality or calm or surrender, and you were neutral about it. And so it could come in at that point. But when you're tense, when you're feeling lackful, when you're holding on as if you're not going to get it, when you're feeling more doubt than faith, then that's when you are literally sending out a signal that keeps you separate from the thing you want to match with. And so I don't know. My experience tells me feeling is the secret. I'm gonna roll with that. Um, I think that concludes questions, unless my peeps got questions in the chat. If not, we'll definitely keep moving to part five, which is reconditioning the body to a new mind meditation, which I love this meditation. I told you guys the story of how I've been doing it this week, but I really, really love this meditation because I didn't realize just how much I was lingering in the emotions of not having my desire. That's a hard pill to swallow, especially when you've been doing this work for so long. Like intellectually, I've been reading the books. Like I have an extensive library. Like this ain't even a third of my book. Y'all can't even see my book. Like I have boxes and boxes and boxes of books. If I lived in a mansion, I'd have walls full of books. And I'm just really a nerd for esoteric, philosophical, mysticism, otherworldly things. I just am. And when you finally get to the point where you realize it's you that's been in the way the whole time, like you've been in your own way the whole time, it's a hard pill to swallow. But I'm so grateful for Dr. Joe and these teachings because this meditation really helps me to recondition my body. Like it's no joke. If you are an athlete, if you know an athlete, you know how important conditioning is. And all conditioning is just repetitious exercising, putting your body into certain circumstances and situations so that by the time you're in the game, whatever the game may be, you are prime. You are ready to receive. You're ready to play. You're ready for the action because you've been in training. Well, this is no different. You really do have to condition your body to feel safe with whatever it is you're trying to manifest. You have to condition it to feel safe with your healing, even though you've been experiencing pain or illness. You have to recondition your body to feel safe with your dream relationship, even if you've had tumultuous relationships in the past. Your body doesn't know it's safe to have that or to receive it because it's not been experiencing the emotion of it. And so emotions get stored in the body as memory, get stuck in the body as energy in your different centers. And if we don't condition it by giving it a taste of something new to feel, it's going to feel stuck in this pattern and you're going to feel stuck and you're going to feel like nothing's changing. And that's exactly what happens. So this meditation is about embodying the future emotionally, not intellectually, and when you combine intention, which is the thought, with the elevated emotion, which is your feeling, you begin to recondition your body's chemical makeup. So it's not just your electromagnetic signature, the signal that you're reconditioning, but you're also reconditioning the chemicals that your body produces because our bodies produce chemicals. Our body is the greatest pharmacy. First of all, the pharmaceutical industry ain't got nothing on the human body that's under the government of self, the self that understands how to work with this vessel. It has nothing on it. The power and the potency of the chemicals that our bodies can create when we learn what we're doing to our bodies and when we learn how to give it the right signals and environment within, it can't touch it. And this is how people in Dr. Joe's community are healing from chronic illness, healing from terminal illness, diseases that their doctors are scratching their heads about because there are no cures for these things. Stage 4 cancers, like this woman grew back part of her rectum that was taken out for surgery from rectal cancer. Like, how do you grow back an entire organ? This is what people are doing because they're learning how to work with their bodies. And so he says that you're teaching your body to expect something different. And the body becomes your subconscious mind's proof. So, whatever you're expecting, you will know whether or not you are believing for your desires by how your body responds. So if you're affirming, I'm abundant, I'm abundant, I'm abundant, but when you think about those bills you got to pay, you still feel tension in your gut. You still, your heart races because you're still panicking about how it's going to happen, how you're going to find the money. Your body is proof of what you are actually believing, what you're actually expecting. So when you start doing this meditation, reconditioning your body to expect the feelings of your future, the happenings of your future, your body will let you know, I finally feel safe because that same thing that used to trigger you in terms of bills or not having enough money, you could think about those subjects. Something could even come up today, right now in this moment. and you will emotionally respond completely different because your body is the subconscious mind's proof. And this is how you also collapse time because we think that things have to take a certain amount of time as it relates to manifestation. But what we're learning is when people condition their bodies to a new mind to expect what it is that they actually are desiring, they have less resistance. And so the less resistance you have, the more open you are to receiving. Because think about it, when you're feeling emotions of lack and separation, you think thoughts in alignment with lack and separation. You might miss opportunities that are right in front of your face because all you're focused on is what you don't have. You're not looking at what you actually have, right? It also governs your thoughts and emotions, also govern the decisions that you make. It influences the choices that you make based on the lens you're looking at life through. So if you're looking at life through the lens of lack, then you're going to see separation. You're going to see where things are not enough. You're going to focus on what you don't have way more. And you won't even see certain things that are opportunities that might be right in front of your face. So it's not that you're necessarily, to me, I don't think you're necessarily collapsing time, but in our understanding of what time is, I see why Dr. Joe may use that language of collapsing time, but it's really just you're dropping resistance so things that you desire can come into you a lot faster. Because if you had more resistance and you were missing opportunities because you're looking at it from lack or not having, then you're the one that's holding up your manifestation. The love of your life could be right next to you, but if you don't see them for everything that you've been praying for because you're focused on what you don't have, that person could be there for years and you never even realize it. So it's not that God was holding your love away from you. You were holding it away from you because you didn't feel safe to receive everything you've been praying for. So I hope that, like, I don't know if that illuminates anything for anybody, but these are some of the notes that I got from this section and what came to mind. And it just really helped me expand my understanding for what is really happening, what we're doing as we're existing from day to day, moment to moment. And I did also, I would say what amazed me about this meditation. I don't know if you guys have watched part 5 already, but this meditation, it feels really, really tangible. So I don't care how big your dream is, how big your goal is, even if it is to heal from something, even if you've spent years being sick, even if you've spent years in lack, um, when you practice this meditation, those elevated emotions start to feel more tangible. So I've been pairing it with also inner conversation style meditations. And what I would say is that it's like I can feel my body becoming more familiar with my future self. As I mentioned, I was sitting in the coffee shop and those songs that played were very much synchronistic to the things I've been affirming. But I also feel more calm within my body as I think about the things that I'm drawing in. Like there's no like hyper focused attention or there's no super elevated emotion in the terms of like hyper excitement, but there is a lot of gratitude. There is a lot of, calm. I have a lot more, flow in my day. I'm not checking my email. I'm not checking my text messages obsessively. I have this calm expectancy and I feel like this meditation just makes it so tangible to feel into what it is I'm calling in. So the synchronicities are no longer subtle. They're very much obvious and very specific to what I've been doing in meditation. And I'm hearing the words that I visualize, I'm feeling the emotions that I practice, and it's not a coincidence. It's coherence. So that is what I gathered from the Reconditioning the Body to a New Mind meditation that he walks us through in part 5 of chapter 5. Someone did submit questions. I got 2 questions from this section. Someone said, how often should I do this meditation to see real results? I would say that consistency is going to be key. To me, I feel like, by the way, I feel like this question is like one of the questions that Neville got during a lecture where someone was like, how long should I persist? And I'm gonna tell you what Neville said. Neville said, until it happens. until whatever it is you're calling for happens. Now, I would say that I don't just do this meditation every day. I do a combination of meditations. But when I feel myself being a little more pulled into my practice emotions of like the past, I tend to do this because I want to pull, like Joe says, pull the mind out of the body and get out of that spiral of a pattern that I'm used to. And I want to get back into the feeling of my wish fulfilled. So Neville kind of said, until it happens. And Joe kind of says the same thing. If you watch any of his stories of transformation, when he's chiming in as people are sharing their stories, he talks about persistence and he talks about not looking for the outcome, but just being focused on the change that you're experiencing, being focused on breaking and interrupting the pattern of a negative spiral. Like if you're used to existing anxiously, instead of focusing on what you're after in terms of the manifestation, focus on changing that anxious pattern. Because I guarantee you that when you change the pattern, then you're changing everything that you could manifest. You're elevating what you can manifest because you're not putting that barrier of resistance, that anxious energy on it, right? So consistency is key. It's not about length, it's about emotional depth. Are you noticing that you are feeling different? That you're changing how you react to life? If the answer is yes, keep going. You're doing what you need to do. The manifestations will come. And they'll come in a way that's not predictable because if they were predictable, that'd be more of the known. And Dr. Joe says it's not a whole lot that can happen in the known. You're already expecting what you think you know. So practicing this meditation helps you linger in the unknown and be okay with not knowing how it has to work, but just trusting that it works and that it's already working and that it's already done. And it's just a matter of time that the frequency catches up with what you're putting out there in terms of your emotional state. So even a few minutes of real alignment every single day is more than enough. And it's more effective than 30 minutes of mental wandering and wrestling with yourself to stop the thoughts. Quality over quantity. So if you could just find yourself being in alignment for a few minutes a day, that's better than fighting yourself and beating yourself up for not getting it right. I hope that helps. Someone says, "What if I cry or get emotional during the meditation?" That's beautiful. That is a beautiful thing. Like to me, it feels like something's on my lip, y'all. That's why I keep touching my like a piece of hair. I don't know. Anyways, but I think that's beautiful. If you have an emotional release, sometimes your body needs that, and that's why you're experiencing it. I mean, I feel like it's your body releasing the old patterns, and you're starting to feel safe with aligning with the emotions of your future or something higher. I would say just let the energy move, let the emotions move through you. That's not a breakdown; it's a breakthrough. You want to keep going because something good is happening when you have those emotional outbreaks during your meditation. I feel like that is in essence a release of the old pattern. It just needs to move. Dr. Joe says emotions are energy in motion, and when they get stuck in the body, a lot of times we express what's stuck in the body through tears, through crying, and some people have reported in meditations a lot of other things besides crying. But I feel like that's one of the ways that we do release the energy that might be stuck in the body and we allow it to move again freely and just to flow. And so that is my I think that's the last question unless there are others in the chat. If you guys don't have any more questions, or if you have any reflections, let me know what was your favorite part. If you had a favorite part, what stood out to you about parts 4 and 5 of chapter 5 of Becoming Supernatural? Anything you might have thought that might have come up, any thoughts you're having as I'm talking about reconditioning the body to a new mind. This meditation is one of my favorite. Feel free to drop it in the comments or as you feel comfortable sharing. But as we close out chapter 5, here's what I do want you to remember: your transformation is already in motion. It's already happening. It's not, you know, something that you have to wonder about. The fact that you are here, the fact that you're learning about this, that is all the evidence you need to know that things are changing. And I always say that just because you can't see what's behind the veil does not mean that change is not happening on your behalf. So every time you're breathing into gratitude before it arrives, you're not forcing the change, you're feeling it. Every time you stop crashing out and choose coherence instead, you're teaching your body to live in the future and not your past. And so, part of what we'll get into in chapter 6, we're going to move from theory to testimony because in chapter 6, he shares a bunch of different case studies of people who have done miraculous things through these teachings. I'm talking about from healing terminal chronic illness, manifesting the miraculous, completely changing their lives. And I just want you to see this as examples of possibility. The beautiful thing about being human is that when we witness possibility, we start to believe in it more. So something powerful happens when we're able to witness others experience transformation. Like you experience what Dr. Joe talks about a lot, which is the 4 minute mile. Before someone ran a mile in 4 minutes, we didn't know it was possible. And so you see someone else do it, and suddenly you believe that you can do it too. So once you see that kind of possibility, Pandora's box is open, and you can't go back to doubting of what's possible for you at that point. So you stop asking if, and you start asking when. So I'm not asking if this happens or what if or could this. No, you start showing up expecting it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time when this happens. And that's where we're headed next. So in chapter 6, we're going to break that down. I want you to stay in the work, stay in the signal, and I will show up and see you in chapter 6. I don't know. I'm still deciding how many parts that chapter needs to be broken down into. My formula has been 5 parts so far, but I think he might do a few more case studies. So I might have to, I don't know, either combine or stretch it out, but we'll see. I'm still going to go live on Tuesday. I'll likely drop the first 3 parts of chapter 6, and then we'll go live on Tuesday, and then we'll be back again for the end of chapter 6 on next Friday. I'm trying to think because I know it's a holiday coming up, but we're good. Tuesdays and Fridays, we're good. But if that is all for the day, if no one has any other questions, I thank you for showing up for yourself. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of me too, because doing this is way more beneficial probably for me than it is for anybody watching. But I know that so many of you have reached out and told me that this series is really helping you to double down, to take the work seriously, and to really understand yourself a lot better and to recognize your patterns. So I'm grateful. I read this book for a third time because I needed to dive back into the work myself. I needed to take it seriously. Not that I never did, but you get a little comfortable. And what happens in comfort is that it's easy to slip into old patterns. So here we are, but I'm so grateful that I could share this with you all, that you are experiencing changes as I'm experiencing changes and transformation, and it only gets better. We are we are the miracles that we've been waiting for. It's within us, and we're learning this more and more, and we're tapping into it, and we are being great demonstrators. And so I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of me, and it only gets better from here. Happy Friday night, y'all. I hope y'all do something good on the weekend. Enjoy your family, friends, enjoy your life. And until next time, you got this. Bye, guys.